have you pulled up from, what day did I see you? Was that Monday night?
Yeah.
How was it? That was so brutal.
Oh, look, it's just one of those things. I'm glad you were there because I probably just would have gone home just going, "Oh my God, why?" I mean, those gigs are character builders, are they not?
To say it was so funny. I reckon the hardest part of it is like that one of two guys who was a legitimate audience member coming up to us at the end and going like, "No, no, guys, that was great. Like, I just admire you for having a crack." I go, that's thanks so much for trying to be nice, but you're actually hurting my feelings.
Oh, yeah, it's one of those things though, is I can't get annoyed at him for not laughing because he was very much in the room. And when you're in a dead room, no one's listening, everyone's bombing. Even if you say something funny, like at the end, the last joke that I told, whatever it was, and he went, it was like that was it. That was my encore. That was the best that I could have hoped for in a room that dead. And it was just compounding. It was getting worse because you can see people, and I probably did it as well. You get desperate. It's like you can have it in your mind to go, okay, I'm not going to make the mistake that that comic made. I'm going to try and involve the audience. You did the best out of all of us, but you're very talkative. Whereas
Yeah, it was just because I just got up.
I can only engage with the audience if someone's giving me something to engage with. Like you can create a dialogue. I usually respond to a dialogue. So if someone's yelled something out or I've asked a specific question, something like that. So yeah, crowd work's difficult.
Oh, I loved your call to me. I'm going to steal it for sure. When I was laughing at something you said, and you just said, "Oh, you'd laugh at abortion." I'm like, ah,
I
it's such
didn't.
a.
Oh, I didn't even mean. I'm trying to remember the context of that. I think. I think I was trying to mention something else. I was like, oh yeah, yeah, look, I can't even remember why I said it. Was I giving you shit for laughing too much?
No, you were like you were just trying to make like you were just acknowledging the noise that was in the room, and it was a funny call. I laughed. That was honestly what I laughed hardest at because it's weird. I always think it's funny when people say, I don't know if you've heard this, but so I did a gig in Perth like maybe a year ago, right? And it didn't go that well. And I got down, and in my mind, I was trying to figure out, all right, was that me? Was that the audience? And I was having a chat to a couple of comics, and one of the chicks said to me, she goes, "It's always the comic." And I was like, I don't
Fuck
agree.
no,
Like, I reckon
she's
some,
wrong. I hope you told her she was wrong.
yeah, I did. I said, like, I did it as politely as I could. I was like, mate, like, there's just so many different, especially at an open mic scene, like, there's such a different atmosphere that's created when there's three people in a room that seats 60. And, the
People
eight other
also,
people that are actually there are there to perform. It just gets awkward and no one really wants to be there. I feel like I know when I'm at the back of the room and I'm actually getting on stage and I don't want to be in the room, I'm like, okay, this is a tough night.
most people are followers as well. So if people are sitting in the audience and they've realized that other people are not laughing that hard, they're going to follow suit as well. It's almost about a person's ability to pay attention and respond to things that are funny. They're reading the room as well. They're going, oh, other people don't think this is funny, so I'm not going to laugh. And you know what? I think that comes down to like a human's ability, or what am I trying to say? It's like that no one wants to be the person who breaks the ice and laughs really hard and has a good time or does whatever they want. They want to see what everyone else is doing. And so every now and again, if I'm in the flow of things, if I'm feeling really good, if I'm in a really good mood, I don't give a shit what anyone around me is doing. And then other times, if I'm feeling a little bit down or a little bit small for whatever reason, if I'm in an audience and no one else is into it, I find myself, I do the stuff that I hate when audience do, like I'll laugh into my hand or I'll try, and it's like, what am I doing? Because I call people out on doing that all the time. I'm like, if you find it funny, laugh. And
It's
then,
so true.
I end up doing it every now and again, depending on what mood I'm in. But yeah,
I
it
love
was
it when you
really
go into a
hard
room and people.
for everyone
Yeah, sorry
involved.
to interrupt you. Yeah, I was watching. So I had like an audience camera at a set I did at the. You remember that Irish guy
Yeah,
we were talking to? I blanked on his name. Um,
Jake? Is it
yeah,
James? Jake?
I, I feel like I should know. I can't remember.
Yeah,
I
you
can't remember.
introduced me to him. You're like,
Yeah,
hey, this is some guy.
He's a legend as well. This is a weakness of mine. I feel like I really need to remember
Oh,
people's names.
I'm bad. I've forgotten names of people that we both know very well. I'll tell you later.
Well, I had this chat with Jessie this morning because she left the house and she just had the stove on, and it's like the fifth time in the last 2 weeks it's happened. I go, hey babe, like when you cook eggs, just remember when you take your eggs off, just turn the pan off. And she's like, mate, my brain is broken, and I reckon part of it from I fully, and this is just me handballing responsibility since having the kids, mate. I think it's lack of sleep, like the amount of things that I forget that I should remember. It's staggering,
Yeah,
like really simple things. And I don't know if it's like my mental space is just taken up, or I just am not sleeping as much as I should, or a combination of those two things. But yeah, there's some real foggy brain happening over here. So I'm doing my best. Even last night, like I went to bed early. I was like, I'm gonna have the best sleep, and then my youngest boy Ollie woke up 3 times, and I'm like, mate,
Daddy,
like,
I'm going to have a breakdown if that's okay, Daddy.
yeah, that's an exceptional sort of representation of his voice. That's what it feels like he sounds like at 2 a.m.
Yes.
I'm like, mate, just leave me alone. Daddy's trying to remember comics names.
Oh, it's really bad. And there was one point I went through. It took me 20 minutes to go through all of my Facebook friends to remember a person's name. And as soon as I read it, it actually took a day to click. And I was like, yes, of course, that's that person's name. Because I thought it started with an S and it wasn't. Anyway, what's annoying as well is that when you're that tired, and I understand that I don't have children, but I used to sleep for 10 hours every single night as a kid, possibly more. I need a lot of sleep and I don't get it. But when you do have brain fog, you don't know whether it's early onset Alzheimer's or you just need some more sleep. It was about 4 weeks ago that I had a 12-hour sleep. I put earplugs in. The cat couldn't annoy me. And it was 12 hours of solid sleep. And I woke up. I couldn't think of a single problem in my life. I couldn't think of a single person who was pissing me off. Anything. It was magic. It was absolutely magic. And it hasn't happened again. So that's why I turn into a psycho if I don't get a sleep in on a Sunday morning. If someone wants to get me up early on a Sunday morning, I'm like, no, this is going to negatively impact my life for weeks. I want to be
like
a nice
get away
person.
with it for a little while because I reckon I'm not as severely hampered by lack of sleep for 2 or 3 nights. And then I just start forgetting real basic things. I reckon I can get away with it for 2 or 3 days, and then I'll either get sick or just be super grumpy or whatever. Why can't you sleep? What's going on over your way?
Very busy mind. That's probably the biggest reason. Also, bad habits as well. I know you should, put your phone down before 9 p.m. and all of that stuff. Usually with work and gig and gym, I'm not a morning person, so usually I go to the gym at night. And then so sometimes I get home at 10 or 10:30, either having just done a late night session or gone to a gig. And then you still need another half an hour or an hour to wind down or whatever. And then after that, if I'm wired, you've got to read a book or whatever. Usually I get to sleep between 12 and 1 and I should be asleep by 10. I know what my brain's like. It's just, it's an ongoing issue.
I reckon if there's one perk of living an hour and a half away from a comedy gig, or most of the comedy gigs that I go to, it's the fact that you do have an hour and a half just to defrag. Like on Monday night, I just got in the car. I'm listening to this crazy book about like the Manson murders called Chaos, and it was so nice just to switch off and forget about like the experience we just had and go, oh, okay, like my adrenaline's actually starting to drop. I get home, I'm like, you know what, I'm actually pretty tired. But when I was in Hawthorne, I would walk back up from, remember where Gorilla was?
Yeah.
I lived like a 150-meter walk from Gorilla. And I would come inside, and whether I'd done really well or absolutely bombed, I remember I'd always just sit on the couch and I was just wired for for an hour until I sort of got my head around whatever it was that had just happened. I don't know if this is a good thing or if I even really mean it, but I feel like bombs used to hurt me a lot more. Like if I had that Monday gig 5 years ago, I just felt like a dick because I'm like, what did I do? But whereas that's sort of what started this conversation. I reckon now I can go, all right, like was it, like break it down. Was it you? Was it the audience? Was it like a combination?
Oh, yeah, and that analysis is necessary to improve. If I was to really bomb hard now, it's statistically likely it's going to be a show like we were at on Monday. As in, it's terrible. I mean, technically, we all bombed every single time we spoke. You did the best, but not at bombing. You did the best because you actually made the effort to talk to people. Where I'm stubborn, and I was like, no, no, no. I've decided that I want to try new material tonight instead of actually trying to improve the room. I'm like, no, listen to my new jokes. But obviously that didn't work out. Yeah. So with bombs nowadays, they do hurt less, but also they hurt less because we're more experienced. And usually, if we were to bomb really hard, we haven't read the room properly, or we have recognized that it's a really shit audience, but we haven't tried to change gears and maybe do something that they would enjoy. We've just still done our own thing, which wasn't working for whatever reason. So, yeah. And usually if we bomb hard, everyone else has as well, because it's tough. It's like you're sending people out to battle.
Yeah, man. I as I was walking in, Joel Temperley was walking out, and I think Henry Young was on stage. And as they both left, Joel especially was like, "Dude, what the fuck am I doing? Like, this is a dumb. Like, this is so dumb. I'm going home. I'm going to bed. This is a joke."
But
Whatever.
both you and Joel called me out for laughing, and then it was like, no, I'm legitimately laughing at the joke, and then I'm laughing at how bad it's going. Both of those things was giving me like genuine joy. And then Joel's like, "What are you laughing for? You know my material." And it's like, well, yeah, I know your material, but I don't remember everything word for word. And every now and again, I'm like, ha ha, because you go, oh yeah, that's right, I've heard that joke before. It's funny, ha ha. And it's like, hang on a second. I'm the only one laughing. Don't give me shit. Roast those quiet fuckers who are not doing anything over there. The audience members, the ones who are meant to be paying attention, you know. But
so
yeah.
good.
What do you do? What do you do?
Oh my gosh.
So,
have you gigged since then?
no, I've got Remedy tonight, Foot's Loose, and Speakeasy tomorrow.
Oh, sweet.
So I'm going to try the jokes then, if the audience
awesome.
is good enough. Otherwise, I'll at least try. Because, yeah, sometimes I'll challenge myself and go, all right, my material's not working. Let's talk about you. You know, sometimes the audience wants to talk about themselves. They're like, prove that you're funny off the cuff, or I'm not going to laugh. Or that guy before you started talking about us and started asking us about our lives. Why don't you do the same thing? Make it about me, you know?
It's interesting.
What
you
happens?
said before,
You go, all right.
Yeah.
Fine, I'll make it about you.
Yeah, you'd be terrifying as well, I feel, to get on the wrong side of. If I was an audience member and didn't know you and you started coming at me, I'd be so terrified. I was terrified. I think I've told you before. I was terrified of you for like the first... I remember when you were in the audience originally and I was gigging. I used to be like, oh, crap, I'm going to bomb so hard. This is going to be...
Yeah, no, I hear that a lot. And what I actually realised on Monday was... So you're an icebreaker type person. So you had met those dudes before... one of them I hadn't seen in a few years, so I didn't recognize him. And then you were the icebreaker, and then we were talking and stuff, and I had shown nothing. I'm usually like that with people I don't know, but particularly men. I've got a wall up, and that's just normal for me. But it's almost like, oh, okay, you're friends with him. Oh, you vetted him. He's a good dude. Okay, I'll be nice to him. Like that's just how I am. And so it was good because if you weren't there, I would have just gotten straight into my car and left, where you're like, no, I know these dudes, they're cool. And so, yeah, that ended up being really fun.
Well, that was literally the highlight of the night, just hanging around for that 45 minutes. If we had just both just gone down and done that set and then gone home, I probably would have quit comedy yesterday morning. The fact we could all just hang around and talk shit for a while was awesome.
Yeah. I fortunately now, I think I'd have to have 10 of those gigs in a row for me to consider quitting because they're so rare. But then also I'm valuing going to gigs that I enjoy this year. So I hadn't done that one before. So I was like, well, yeah, it's 5 minutes away. I'm going to give it a go. But this year I'm not doing any festivals and because I'm focused on writing new stuff. And I'm doing mostly paid gigs and gigs that I enjoy doing. And already I'm not stressed. Like, it is good to push yourself every now and again and do a festival show. I mean, I had those tickets that were cancelled. You came to my show last year to open for me and we had to cancel it. It's like, nah, let's not do this every year. next time I do a festival show, let's make sure I've got a whole new show that I'm excited about and not just the best of my material over the last 9 years. Or let's not do it till there's a cult following, because breaking even's fine, but I'm trying to step it up a little bit and do better and make better
Yeah.
decisions. But as
I
long
feel
as it's
so
still
like
fun, it's still fun, so I'm still doing it.
that's good. That's good. Yeah. The festival thing is one that kind of trips me out. I did the Geelong Festival last year because I love Blaze and Callie,
Hmm.
and like they let me be pretty loose. Like whatever rooms they run, if I get up there and say stuff they completely disagree with, they're like, "Oh, bloody Tice, you're a wild boy." But I feel like with the Melbourne Comedy Festival, I feel so like I don't know. I feel like not invested in being a part of it just because like my vibe is if you want to do well, you have to be a full lefty, have a massive following, say the things they want you to say, be on your best behavior. And then like at an open mic or sort of at that graduate level where you're no longer open mic, but you haven't got the cult following, it's like you'll pay them $600 or whatever it is, $800. And I always feel like they do absolutely nothing for you. It just is so clearly a business to me where they can dictate the shots that I'm like, I don't
Yes.
want to play your dumb
Well,
game.
that's what's awesome about the Geelong Comedy Festival is because Blaze and Callie are reasonable people who understand that other people have different opinions. They're also, I don't think they're stupid. If you were actually so right wing that you were inciting violence, I think they'd put their foot down as they should, but you're not. You're just not subscribing to every single popular, trending, or virtue signaling opinion that society, especially in Melbourne, has told you that you have to have. So I totally agree with that, and that's happening with a lot of the festivals. I think, and it's a little bit sad. It's like, have we as a society lost the ability to disagree peacefully with each other? And why does it seem that you either need to be left or right, or it's like you can't have opinions that are in the grey anymore, and that shits me because I'm on the fence about so much stuff. It's like we won't go into it. We don't have time, but I'll just say, like, COVID was a character test, and most people failed. So if you were the kind of person who walked up to someone who wasn't wearing a mask when they were going for a walk by themselves in the fucking bush, and you and you told them that they were granny killing murderers or whatever, spreading disease, or if you're the kind of person who walked up to someone and ripped their mask off their face and called them a sheep or called them a loser or whatever, both of you are assholes. It's like both of that is, I know that these are, it's an extreme example, but ultimately, yeah, it definitely was a character test. And
For
I
sure.
think that
Yeah.
that continues on. So many, yeah, it just seems that it's very righteous. It's like, every now and again we have Pride Month, which is fine. But does that mean that if someone says, hey, do you want to wear a rainbow? And I say no, does that mean that I'm a bigot? No, it just means that I don't have to wear a rainbow not to discriminate against people. You know what I mean? Like every
Yeah, I was laughing yesterday because I
flashy,
saw
you have to make it clear how you feel about things by fucking putting up the poster or flying the flag or whatever. And it's like, yeah, it seems very odd. It's like, to me, I value funny. And so you can write funny jokes about controversial topics, but the people who are writing jokes about controversial topics who are not, say, Ricky Gervais level, they make everyone else look bad because they've legitimately written terrible jokes and they're defending them. They're going through shock, and it's like, I'm defending me, not him. Like, I'll tell you a joke that I've just written. So, and it happened. So the real thing that happened was I was in the right hand lane. I just gotten into it because I did a U-turn, and a motorbike rider got pissed off at me because he was speeding and he had to go around me, and he rode at me, right? He, like, that whole, when they play chicken, idiots play chicken, they get pissed off. And so the joke there is, don't you hate it when motorbike riders get pissed off at you and then they ride at you? It's like, how is getting hit by my 2012 Toyota Yaris and then spending the rest of your life in a wheelchair going to teach me a lesson? right? So we'll see how it goes. That's what. I tried that on Monday. It fucking bombed. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm going to try it again tonight.
Uh,
But it's like you could find that offensive if you wanted to. Like, you can't joke about that sort of stuff or go, actually, the joke isn't about the little shocking part about that joke about someone spending the rest of their life in a wheelchair. The joke is about, don't be a fuckwit. If you're on a motorbike and a car pisses you off, you're going to fucking ride at it? Who's going to lose here, mate?
I know.
I'm going to be like, what the fuck was that ding? Oh, it's a anyway. That was
Do you remember that
for you?
No, it's good. Do you remember that joke I did on Monday? I can't remember if we talked about it or I just thought about telling you about it. It was about the dad who went to a party by himself and the kid came up to him with a peanut butter sandwich and he called his wife. He's like, honey,
and a flat, yeah.
I posted that just talking to the camera, thinking nothing. I was kind of just like trialing a joke bit and seeing if it was funny or seeing what people's responses were. Dude, go to my Instagram page later and just read the comment section to that. The fact, like, when I posted that, I did not think there was anything even slightly controversial about it. I mean, maybe the word autistic people might not like, but when you actually listen to the joke, I'm like, it's nothing really that controversial, dude.
They heard the word and they lost their mind. That actually happened a year ago. Were you there when that trans woman went off at Paul over his joke?
Yeah.
You were there?
Yeah. No, you told me about it actually.
Yeah. So she heard the word and immediately got offended. The joke is absolutely not offensive on any level. The word was heard and then they went off. And that's the problem, is that, and that's what's very interesting about the hard left as well, is that if someone has said the wrong thing, you're allowed to abuse. Like, you're allowed to behave really badly in the name of justice. And that's not right. You're still behaving really badly. Like, it was, and then for her to come up to me and say, can I grab the microphone? I said, no. What did I say? No. I said, you're being really rude. I don't know. Blaze handled it well. The people, and you know what though, I guess it's easy to hear about a situation like that and then be wary over a whole group of people when you don't need to be. Like, that person was mentally unwell and does not represent their community. But yeah, and that the thing about the internet as well is that people are protected by their screens. I know that I'm more of a bitch online and I have to try and constantly check myself and bring myself back and go, right, what would I say if this person was in front of me? There's no way I'd say any of this stuff, and try and have some sort of continuity or be the same person out here as I am online. And that's hard because I don't like confrontation, but it's easy to do when you're speaking to a stranger,
Yeah, it's so true. I hate the idea of confrontation, and then when it starts, I love it. I don't know what it is about me. Like, the idea of someone being angry at me, I'm like, oh, I don't want to make anyone upset. And then when they fire up, I'm like, oh, I feel like
it on stage. I don't like it if we're alone. So if someone is, I don't know what it is. I think it's protection. So when I've got a heckler, I love it because I know that there's a 99% chance that the audience is going to be on my side because I'm not actually going to address the situation or become a complete mole unless that person is legitimately being disruptive or unreasonable. And when everyone can see, when the whole crowd hates them, then I can go nuts because it's like, no, you fucked up. It's us against you. It's not me against you. It's us against you, right? And that's the same thing with confrontations with people. And, I think I've got a very strong and a very sensitive personality because sometimes someone it's whether or not I care about that person's opinion of me. If for whatever reason I care about their opinion of me and they're confronting me, it's like I'm in fight or flight. I get a stutter. I can't talk properly. I can't defend myself. But if I don't give a shit what you think, you are getting a very aggressive, there's a little jar of psycho inside me the lid's popped off. Like you're getting the nasty shit. But usually I think it's deserved, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good. It is interesting how much a like just having the audience on your side can give you the confidence or the freedom just to go nuts. I think my thing, like what I mean is, I reckon I've maybe on some things bit my tongue a little bit here in Melbourne because I'm like, oh, if you want to get a good gig, you have to just make sure you don't go too wild. And I'm like, I don't really care about anyone's gigs anymore. Like I'm not worried about trying to make Carl Chandler happy or trying to make the Comics Lounge happy or anything like that. I just want to say jokes that I think are funny because the comedy scene's so much bigger than just Melbourne. That's what
Yeah.
I reckon I've failed to remember, and that's probably the best thing. I love Kill Tony Hinchcliffe, and just seeing some of the wild shit that he says. I'm like, oh, this is so funny to me. Like, why would you play a game for such a small city? You know what I mean? Like to try and win the city comedy game rather than go
Here's
like,
the thing,
mate,
though.
this is a massive.
There's something in our mind that tells us, okay, this is what you like, so I'm going to try and be what you like. No one respects that, especially if it's obvious. There's a difference between changing gears because your material isn't working and having that experience and professionalism to turn a shit gig around. But then there's also that side of it where if someone knows that you're pandering to them, or you are trying to suck hole or do what they like, there's a neediness to that. There's an insecurity to that, and people don't like it. So I think most people would appreciate someone who does comedy that isn't their style, but at least they're being themselves and they're not being fake.
Yeah,
And
I was watching.
again, it's
I had
all
the camera.
about most people.
Yeah. I had the camera on the audience the other night at that Comedy on Tap at Josh or Jake's gig, however he prefers to go for. And it was so funny because it was an Irish gig.
Yeah, he's given me that gig. I'm doing it on International Women's Day. So thanks for the plug.
Oh, it's so good. Anyway, like you go down there and it's just like there's just 50 white Irish like couples. There's just 50 people. Anyway, there was an Indian dude he had a big turban on and clearly wasn't Irish.
Yeah.
Anyway, like I came down and I had the camera because in my mind, like to start the set, I was going to riff off this and just cross my fingers that they found it funny. But I had my camera on the audience, another camera just filming me, and I said like I've never performed in front of so many Irish people, crazy. Like I don't know a whole heap about you. And then I turned to this guy and I said, mate, like what part of Ireland are you from?
Yeah.
And it got the best response because clearly it wasn't Irish. But then like the actual footage that I took, there was a couple at the back who clearly hated the fact that I made the joke. And it was so fun to watch.
How dare you insinuate someone with a turban?
He's
Irish.
like
He could be Irish. You don't know that.
I know. What was so funny was he's from London.
People get offended when they are aware of the exception, not the rule. So, for example, if we do jokes about stereotypes, the people who usually get shitty are people who either represent or know people who represent the exception, not the rule. And they're not smart enough to go, oh, they're just making a generalization. And that's what's annoying about offense is it's just like they'll go, let's take the incorrect meaning of what you're actually trying to say and get pissed off about that part instead of ignoring the glaringly obvious part of the joke.
Yeah.
You can tell how shitty I get at offended people, can't you? I can feel myself arcing up.
Maybe that's why we get along because I'm the same. I'm like I've got no interest in trying to protect your feelings anymore.
Yeah.
I've been Jessie. I feel like I always got to establish my Jessie for anyone listening. Like Jess here, she's such a straight shooter. Like she's so dry.
Yeah.
She's just not interested in anyone's feelings. And I think like we've been together so long now where it's kind of just rubbed off on me. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm definitely way more sensitive. Like I would hate to leave a room and know I deliberately upset someone. But Jessie would be like, oh no, I didn't mean it. They'll get over it.
Yeah.
What they think of me.
Yeah, like I legitimately don't want to hurt people's feelings at all. To me though, again, I'm always talking about shit that's in society. We seem to be valued over being two-faced and saying the nice thing, and that's rarely what people need to hear. People need to hear the truth. Like, for example, let's just say that there is an awful comedian, right? The nasty blunt thing would be walking up to that person and saying, your jokes are fucking shit, I hate you, can you please quit, right? That's obviously out of line and being horrible. Whereas if that person was to come to you and say, could you truthfully tell me how my set went, or if they were to be brave enough to ask you, what do you think of my comedy, then you being blunt with them, I mean, you don't have to be blunt. You can make the words a little bit nicer while still telling them the truth. Use a little bit of tact. But that's actually going to help that person if they legitimately ask you for how you feel. So bluntness or truthfulness is often seen as being nasty and being horrible towards someone, when it's like, well, what's the alternative? You telling this person lies and keeping their delusion alive, that's fucking worse. That is worse. You shouldn't tell your kids that they can be anything when they grow up. Assess their skills first and then maybe try and drive them towards their strengths. I'm sure you're already doing that.
No, I'm trying to. Yeah, I've got to be careful not to be that dad who's like, mate, I would say I'm pretty good. I would say I'm pretty good. I try not to give him more credit than he deserves, but yeah, it's a really good point. Otherwise, in 20 years, you'll see him on Australian Idol because dad said he could do it. And it'll just be on that blooper
I
reel.
want to be a singer. And you're like, how do I tell my tone deaf kid? No, I can't. I can't. All right, I'll pay for 13 years worth of singing lessons that did nothing. No worries.
I reckon luck's on my side at the moment. I've been watching my older boy, and he's just like, he's got that real distance runner body, and he loves running.
Yep.
And he's always asking to go for a run. And I'm like, oh my gosh, please tell me that we can have one more shot at the title here, because it'd be so helpful. It'd be so enjoyable to have a kid who actually enjoys the sport, rather than you having to be that dad who like passively aggressively like encourages them to go in that direction.
Yeah, that whole I had an idea for a joke on this exact topic. I was telling my friend, I was going, it's so weird when you go to a dentist who has shit teeth. And I was like, if teeth are so important, why would a dentist have shit teeth? And then I thought about it and I went, maybe because it was the dentist's parents' dream for him to become a doctor. So he doesn't give a fuck. That's why he's got shit teeth. You know what I mean? Like going, if you're a runner and then you have a son who's also a runner and that's also a strength of his, like that's great because it's both of your dream for him to keep running. Whereas if he was, height challenged and completely unathletic and not interested at all, and you're trying to push, then, there's something in his mind that goes, oh, daddy will love me if I just run, even though I fucking hate it. It's like, I find it, and, I'm probably sheltered or privileged or whatever you want to call it. It's so sad when you hear stories about people who their parents just go, oh, you came second? Well, you're a piece of shit. Why didn't you come first? What do you mean you got an A-? This should be an A+. You're disgusting. Oh, you became a lawyer. I wanted you to become a doctor. Ugh. And you hear these levels of pressure, and it's like, that's horrible. That is absolutely horrible. And then I think, I'm on the other side. I wish my parents gave me some sort of guidance. They're just like, I was like, I think I want to do this. Okay, well, you can do that. I think I want to quit. Okay. Oh, like fucking push me somewhere.
Yeah.
Something. So, I'm on the other end of the spectrum there. But, it's good that he likes running and it's good that he's good at it.
How did you get into the music scene? Was that not a family thing at all? That was just like, that was purely you? Because I look at my youngest boy and I reckon my gut feeling is he's going to be a little musician. Like he's just upset. Like he loves to dance.
Yeah.
He loves, like if there's a piano, he'll be on it. If there's a guitar, he'll be playing it. Like just whatever makes a sound, he's having a go. And I go, okay, well, that's definitely not me. Like, that's definitely more Jesse. But I've got like a real appreciation for music, but no talent. Like, I've never practiced it.
Well, I cannot play an instrument, even though this is, I tried guitar. I tortured a piano teacher for 2 years. I cannot do music theory. Awful. My brain doesn't work for music theory or instruments. I liked singing as a kid. I sung Spice Up Your Life by myself at the grade 5 talent quest. And then because of that, I got the lead role, which is a singing role in the grade 6 high school production. And then my brother he got into drumming, and my sister and dad and mum always just music appreciators, but they weren't musicians. And then my brother and I ended up getting in a band together when I was 15. He was 20. So we were in two bands together. And then, I just kept singing, and I was going to lessons, and then I got in another band, and I was in that till I was about 27. Um, so, yeah, I mean, I enjoy it. I love it. I'm actually going to audition to sing at the Work Awards this year. It's going to be in front of 1,000 people. And so, yeah, I've chosen, it's an old original song that I'm going to do, and I'm going to do that. I've just signed up for a half marathon as well. I'm challenging myself this year.
Hell yeah! What's the Work Awards?
Also, I work for an electricity company, and
Yeah.
they've got a awards night every year. So people who have done really well, they'll win awards, and then you talk about it's at a ballroom. It's great. It's a black tie event. It's so good. And then they have the entertainment, which is all comprised of Red Energy employees. So they've got a band that's been playing at the Work Awards for, I think, at least 10 years. And then everyone who performs is an employee, and it's awesome. So, yeah, I'm going to challenge myself, and I'm going to go for it.
Oh, that sounds good. That sounds good. When you say original, is that in my head? You're like heavy. You're real heavy stuff.
No, well, this was in the band that was heavier, but this was a soft song. I've had to change a lyric in it though. The comedy started before the comedy started. Like I tried to I called the song "You Beauty" because I wanted an Australian twang to it, and then there's a lyric in it where I say I need a kick in the ass. And I was doing it to try and be funny, and it was dumb. So I'm changing that lyric because it's like, I don't know, when I listen back to all of my old songs, I can find all the flaws. I go, I mispronounced that word. I shouldn't have written that lyric. That was dumb. That note was a bit flat. They had to auto-tune that one. Like, I remember all of it. But I just legitimately love singing. But I wouldn't want to go back and join another band because I feel like I'd have to start again, and it costs so much money. It was just the constant financial outpouring every single week for various reasons. I went to about 8 auditions after the last band broke up, and none of it was anywhere near as good. So I wasn't going to take a step back. I either wanted to sidestep or join something better, and it didn't happen. So I didn't do anything.
Yeah, what's so expensive about it? Like, is that obviously your instruments and stuff, but traveling around and
So the guitarist was making quite expensive decisions, and it was only him and I that were paying for everything. So, for example, the first thing that I was shocked about was we were the support act for another band, and then in order to get that gig, we had to sell 50 tickets or 60 tickets. And if we didn't sell them, we had to buy them ourselves because they're not going to let you pay unless you sell a certain amount of tickets. So the guitarist was like, well, we didn't sell enough tickets, so you're going to have to put in $600. And then, so we did that a few times. There was lots of recording costs as well. And also trying to get on the radio and paying this person who listens to your songs, tells you how to change them, gives you all of this ongoing information. And what pissed me off is I was rebelling against some of the advice, and then I followed it anyway because the guitarist made me. And then after the recording, he goes, "We should have kept it the way you had it." I'm like, "You fucking asshole, that's what I said." Yeah. And I was constantly mediating. Everyone was smoking weed. They were like Muso's just as mentally ill as the comics.
Yeah. Jacinta J, I was talking to her on here a couple of weeks ago, and she was telling me real similar things. She reckons that musos hit it a lot harder. Like if you're going to go party after like a tour or after a show or whatever, for whatever reason in that industry, they seem to go way harder. I mean, it kind of makes sense. There's a few, like Keith Richards comes straight to mind for me, and the Rolling Stones.
Although, yeah, it's like, and you can tell the people who've quit, as in the people who've quit drinking and drugs and just debaucherous behaviour. And you can tell the people who haven't, because they're in their mid-50s or 60s, they're still performing and they look like bloated whales. It's like, I'm trying not to be ageist, right? However, I think if you cannot sing anymore, you cannot perform, you're clearly really unhealthy, like it's time to step aside. Like, I love Stevie Nicks, but she's lost a lot of her voice, and she's let's just say, I don't know how many octaves that she had, but her range has dramatically reduced. And so you go, okay, if you can't sing, it's okay when they change it, but if you can't sing to a reasonable level, like, but they don't know any different. There's musos who've been touring for decades and they go, what do you mean you want me to stop? I can't stop. I don't know anything else. I'm in tremendous amounts of debt as well, So it's like, they have to keep going.
So Stevie Nicks is still touring?
From memory, she is. I know that I think she did a gig at least 2 or 3 years ago. And yeah, I just saw some live footage and went, oh, hopefully that wasn't just a bad clip. But yeah, the way that she was singing the songs was, she was basically using mostly the same 5 or 6 notes. And like, no disrespect, like, I'm not trying to throw shade at one of the greatest musicians in the last few decades. I just trying to go, okay, we're winding down here. When's going to be? When are they going to throw in the towel?
Wait, one sec. Jessie's just yelling out to me. I don't know. I think she thinks I've finished. Give me one sec. She must have just taken Ollie out the front or something.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what that's about. You got to tell me about your half marathon, because you mentioned it the other night as well, and I was excited, but there was so much going on, so I didn't get a chance to pick your brain around.
Oh, right. Well, I guess where would you even start? Okay. The first thing is I want to make new memories. And so what I've noticed is that when people in their 30s catch up, usually they are catching up on what is going on with their lives instead of actually doing stuff. So I've made the commitment that when I hang out with mates, let's not just go for coffee, let's go and do something, even if it's just a sport, an activity. Are we going bowling? Are we playing badminton? Are we going for a run? Whatever. So there's that. I want to actually be doing more stuff, because there was a period of time I was just working and doing gigs, and it was like, even though I'm out and I'm busy, I feel like nothing's happening. So I don't like running. I don't like it. I'm definitely not built for it. I'm so fucking quad heavy. My quads do everything. I'm trying to build up the glutes, because like, to be a little bit more even and just have a body that works into old age, right? It's about health and whatever, but then also challenging myself as well. So I did the 10Ks the other day. I was actually laying in bed last night with a shooting pain in my hip going, oh, fuck, I have to quit. I can't do the marathon, but I've woken up this morning fine. So it's like, all right, whatever. We'll see how we go. I'm just challenging myself. And they called it Sandy Point Half Marathon, and I got excited because I used to camp in Sandy Point with my family as a kid, but it's not Sandy Point at all. They've just called it Sandy Point. It's in Brighton. It's a 5-minute walk from my house, which is convenient. But yeah, I have joined Wave C, which is for the slow fatties, and hopefully, well, I'm going to do it anyway. Worst comes to worst, I have to walk some of it. Who cares?
Are you on Strava?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
I'm going to follow you.
Yeah,
actually, I'm going to do it right now.
I think you'll enjoy it. I've been told that is one of the most entertaining Stravas you can go on.
Oh, what, the run that you're doing?
No, you'll see. Follow me and read the shit that I write, and you'll see.
So your page is one of the most interesting Stravas.
Yeah, because everyone goes evening run 5Ks, and there's a note section. Of course, I'm going to turn it into. Hang on. No, I can leave it there. Cool, I've got a parcel. I'm excited because this company.
Sweet. Oh, you did 22K last week.
Definitely not on the same day.
Nah, that's awesome. I mean, you're going good. Okay, 10 10Ks, 7:32 pace, hour 16. Man, that's great that you're doing 10Ks and you've literally just intervals on the treadie. I am going to enjoy this. Why are you doing intervals on the treadmill for? Is that just like convenience? That sounds so torturous.
No, so I've got a new guru. Her name is
Yeah.
Dr. Stacey Sims. She is an exercise physiologist, and she has basically taken all of the experiments that have, not all of them, so many experiments that have been done on men only and done them on women, and the outcome is completely different. So she's written a book about it, and she works with athletes and perimenopausal, menopausal, and postmenopausal women to change body composition and stay healthy and strong. So, for example, a woman should eat within 30 minutes of working out. Otherwise, they turn catabolic and you start eating at your muscle, whereas men have up to a 3 or 4 hour window. So for this whole time, it was humans should eat within 4 hours. And it's like, no, men should. Women should eat within half an hour. So I'm following her advice, and she said that intervals are fantastic. I mean, I'm not perimenopausal. I don't think I am. I'm not at that age where she says that you need to do stuff, but I'm forming the habits. So women need to strength train, especially when they reach 40. I mean, I'm going to be 40 in a year and a half. F45 and CrossFit isn't enough because you don't produce enough testosterone to blunt the cortisol, so you still get fat around the stomach, which I don't want. There's way too many photos being taken of me, so I need to have some sort of control over what's going on, right? So yeah, so that's why I do intervals. It's getting improving your CO2 max and all of that shit. I'm learning all about it. It's just learning. Because you know that sometimes I'm a shazza and sometimes I'm a health nut, and at the moment I'm a health nut. So
awesome. So how many days a week are you getting out? Like, are you out a couple of days a week?
It's 6 or 7 now. So it's either for example, I did legs today. Yesterday I did 45 minutes of yoga because I was still sore from the run on Sunday. Tomorrow will be arms. Then I'll do an hour on the treadmill. Probably I'll go for a walk or run after work. So I'm doing it every day. The least amount of exercise that I'll do is walk the dog for half an hour. So something has to be happening.
That's cool. So when you say you go through what is it, like your shazza and what's the other one for the exercise chick?
I don't know. I've already forgotten.
I was like, have you always had some kind of exercise routine, or is this you just go through waves of
No, I always have, but I was doing reformer Pilates and I was doing yoga, and it's just that's not enough. The fittest that I was probably when I worked in a warehouse where I was walking 10Ks a day and lifting heavy shit. However, there wasn't a lot of strength involved then. So that was good for the cardio thing, but now I work a desk job. And when you do a desk job and you do strength training and you drink a lot, which is what I was doing last year, I basically partied from September to December. It was disgusting, but I had a good time. I don't get the results that I deserve. So, I didn't deserve them. So now that I'm not drinking and I've added running, I've got that work awards thing. It's in late May, and I've got a dress. It's a $13 dress that I bought from an op shop fucking 6 years ago. I'm getting back in that goddamn dress.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, so goals, better habits. I don't need to drink. I need to flick the switch, and I've flicked it off, and it's great.
Yeah. What was happening last year between September and December? Like, why were you in party mode?
So last year I didn't drink for about 6 months, and then probably I think June or July I let the wine sneak back in, and then September was my birthday, and then it was just enjoyment. Nothing crazy, a few wines a week, whatever. But December was disgusting. I stayed with my family for about 3 weeks. And I was just drinking gin. I was buying wine in a box. I was merry as. And Mum's making shortbreads. She's like, "Can I make these on Christmas Day?" And I'm the professional taste tester. And I could just feel myself going. Oh. And so, I went, okay, well, I'm just not going to drink next year. So, and it's been easy. I thought it was going to be difficult because usually I quit drinking off the back of shame. something annoying has to happen, or I have to piss myself off or be ashamed over something. And it's like, how do I quit drinking without being shamed? And it's worked. I mean, we're already 2/3 of the way through February and I haven't had an issue. So I can do it. I've just got a shit attitude that needs to be fucking, you know?
It is funny how much having like a goal on the horizon helps. I feel the same. I'm doing
It has
Gold
to
Coast
happen.
Marathon this
You
year.
have to have a goal.
Yeah.
What are your goals?
Well, I want to so I like running wise, I'm doing the Gold Coast Marathon, which is in July.
Okay.
So I'm kind of in like maybe a similar. That's 42.
Okay.
Like the full marathon. So I've only ever done one before, and I didn't train for it properly. But this one, like I'm probably averaging maybe like the last 10 weeks, maybe 60K a week.
Yeah.
And I just want to like get strong, let my body adjust to doing that. I've got a little bit of intensity, like just once a week or a few times a week. I'll do some sprints, and then once a week, like tomorrow, I'm doing a bigger session, which is kind of like more marathon effort.
Yeah.
But I want to have a good crack, so hopefully I can get there injury free. And then ideally, like I'd love to run Melbourne Marathon as well. I'm going through a phase where I'm like, all right, if I'm going to get super skinny and look like a meth user, I'm going to make the most of it and I'll do a couple of marathons. And then I can already, my brother-in-law, who's like so good looking, no, even when he doesn't exercise, he's over from America at the moment. Yeah. And he's put on like 4 kilos of muscle. He's got like that Macedonian complexion. He's like this tan. He's like, he just looks ridiculous. I saw him and I was like, dude, like I'm so gay. It was like the first thing I noticed was how hot he was. And I said, and he's like, yeah, you look disgusting. He's like, I can already tell how much weight you've lost. You look feral. I can see your ribs. It's like, he's like, how do you feel coming to the beach with me? And that, like, is it awkward? And it is. Anyway, so I could already feel like in the next 18 months, I'll be real keen to get back in the gym and put on some weight. Just so we can be a little bit closer in like wrestles and stuff, which inevitably happen when he's here.
Right. I mean, hey, if aesthetics is your goal, who cares? You know, like, you know, some people get pissed off that is their goal, you know, because I've got a friend that we talk about running, gym and cats every day. And, you know, she sends me a lot of data about how good exercise and sauna is and strength training is for health. And then I keep saying, yeah, but it's also to look good too. She's like, it's about health. And I'm like, no, we're trying to look good and we're saying it's about health as well. Because so many people who are genetically blessed, they will, or have got fast metabolisms, you find that a lot of them either never start exercising or they don't until their 40s and everything starts falling apart. You know, having a slow metabolism or having injuries or being a little bit weak or having a desk job, you know, all of those things are drivers in going, okay, well, let's start exercising more, or, you know, let's do it more for health. And also, so you've only got one chin in photos, you know, it doesn't matter if looking good or feeling a little bit secure is the driver.
Oh, dude, speaking of vanity, I've been, like, we've had the wrinkle conversation so many times. There's this Asian chick and on YouTube, I think it's Mimi or something is her name, and she just does all these face exercises. She reckons it gets rid of wrinkles. And I got caught red-handed the other day. Jessie came home and I'm going like, she's like, what are you doing? Like, it's not attractive to see you doing these things, but I'm going down the aesthetic of that's the training. Because usually I feel like when I do train, it's usually for a purpose. Like, okay, I want to run fast, but definitely in the back of my mind is like longevity, and I don't want to like look like, whether it's, I don't know, like, I don't think being overweight's a real fear of mine. I'm not worried about that because I never have been.
Yeah.
I exercise too much, I eat too well or whatever. But like I love the idea of, like, I picture myself at 80 just going for a jog and people being like, what the fuck? I don't know why I get so much motivation from that, but it definitely gets me pumped.
I've just thought of this. To me, if we're still, okay, as you get older, if you stay fit, if you stay presentable, if you stay motivated and ambitious and a pleasure of a person to be around, then young people are going to stop being so fucking ageist. And I know occasionally I touch on being ageist myself, and I don't like that about myself. but then it goes the other way too. I'm like, ew, a 19-year-old, that's disgusting. Please stop talking. I'm getting dumber. I don't understand a fucking word you're saying, right? So I am like that. But then you see someone who's 60 years old, they've let themselves go. The fucking light in their eyes is gone. And it's like, this is why people have said that you're irrelevant, because you've made yourself irrelevant because you're not fucking engaging in life anymore,
Yeah.
And so I make sure that I pay attention that if I see someone who's older than me, whether it's 5, 10, 20 years or whatever, and there's a light in their eyes, I'm analyzing why. And usually it's because they haven't given up. They're still ambitious. They're still engaging. And that's what we need to do. And it's fun doing it. It's fun keeping the ball up in the air. It's harder because shit creaks. Like, I've got heaps of degenerative shit going on. Fucking the starts of spinal arthritis, bone spurs, shit knee, pinched nerve in my hip. And as soon as I got that diagnosis with that, I was down in the dumps for a week or two because I'm like, I'm a fucking cripple. Oh my God, it's over. I'm dead. And then it was like, no, you fucking not, you idiot. Find exercises that don't hurt. I still haven't gone to the sports doctor, but go to the sports doctor, find out exactly what you can do to stop the degradation or slow it down, and fucking just keep going. Don't roll over and die.
I know.
Character test.
Say that again?
I said character test.
For sure.
Because sometimes diagnosis empowers some people. Sometimes they send people further into the ground.
It's such a good point. So this is one thing I notice, and it does my head in, like, a lot. So I got back into running about 2 years ago properly. Like, I started training like I was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And just because I hadn't been doing as much of it, I'd had a couple of calf strains. I just kept getting whacked. I was like, what the hell is going on? And everyone was like, oh, old man calves. And for a while, I was like, oh, okay, is that what it is? And then I was like, hang on, like, all old man calves are calves that haven't been activated in the way that you used to use it. So just get back to doing that. Like just rebuild that, your body's ability to be able to handle that kind of that kind of impact, which is exactly what I've done. But it is amazing. I really noticed since then how many people will have like a diagnosis or an age, and it just becomes the excuse as to why they can't make a difference in it. And it kind of annoys me because I think it's just so wrong. Like, yeah, sure, like with age comes whatever. Like there's going to be a limit to how long this is true for. But I feel like a lot of the time people hit 40, hit 50, and they go, okay, I guess it's all downhill from here. And you can see like a 60 or 70-year-old dude who's just bench pressing 100 kilos, looking amazing. You go, hang on a second. Like,
yeah, who am I going to listen to? Who am I going to decide is going to be my guru? And I think it's about staying interested and expanding your knowledge as well. So many people go, oh, I've got an injury, I'm not going to work out at all. And then that's usually the start of your downfall. Instead of the more appropriate advice is, okay, so you still want to work out. However, if the pain is less than a 4 out of 10, then keep doing it because you're not damaging yourself. If it's more than that, then you need to modify it because you're just going to get weaker if you don't exercise. Muscles start atrophying, and so does your motivation as well. And you've got to surround yourself with people who also have really good attitude. Like, I've got great friends who will allow me to vent about certain things or let me be woe is me on occasion when you need to, and then like, okay, all right, well, we're solutions focused, so what are we going to do? Let's go for a walk, let's do something. So it's about who you surround yourself with as well.
Yeah, so true.
So why did you stop running? Were you parenting?
Well, no, it wasn't that. It was just I had really big ambitions with my running. Like I really wanted to run in the Olympics over like probably 5K was the event that I was going to do it if I was going to do it.
Yeah. And
then I got to like, what was it, 2013. So I was 26 and like the writing was on the wall that I probably wasn't going to make it. Like it wasn't, even if I was good enough to make it, you get to the Olympics and you're still like the idea of getting out of a heat and running in a final or whatever was like, it was just unlikely unless you're a freak, which I wasn't. Like I was good on a national level without being a standout. And then I was like, this is such a massive time commitment. So Mark Blitzarves, I don't know if you know the football world. He plays for Geelong now. He had just got drafted to the Cats. And there was a real push in the world of AFL, which was my original sport, to have like running based athletes. And so I met up with I went and met with like the Melbourne Footy Club. I went and met with the Fremantle Footy Club, and then spent a bit of time down with the Box Hill Hawks. as like an elite level draft pick, and I was really excited by the idea of playing AFL rather than being a runner.
Yeah.
Especially because like my skills were pretty solid, my running was great. Like my age bracket was probably that was the thing that let me down. Like with Melbourne, they ended up drafting like an elite level draft who was 19,
Right.
and which makes sense because I was like 20, as I said, 25 or 26. So you kind of like you'd have to have an exceptional career to play into your mid 30s. Anyway, I was like, well, this is an opportunity I want to pursue because like it had worked so well for Blitzarves. And then after that, I kind of just had lost my mojo a little bit. I was pumped about footy. And then I just enjoyed, like I always said to Jesse, I was like, all right, when I finished running, because I was 67 kilos, I'm like 5'11", I was like, I'll just put on a heap of size. And so I just started eating, like just pumping in the calories. I was in the gym like 5 or 6 days a week. And I just pushed, I got to 81 kilos or whatever. And I was like, just to be a bit bigger.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just enjoyed it. I was so bored with the running and kind of needed something fresh. Like I was always exercising, but just not that competitive style running. And then it's funny, like I spent 10 years away from that and then was like, I kind of missed the running side of it again. So I'm like you, between your Shazza and your exercising, just with like different forms of, am I a gym junkie or am I a distance runner? And so
it's like they need to coexist, but one of them needs to take precedence. Otherwise the other one falls. Like I know that you need at least 8 hours between cardio and muscle. So for example, you shouldn't do cardio until you shouldn't do cardio after strength training unless 8 hours has passed. And then it gets to a point though where I go, like I get confused because I go, okay, well, if I'm going to do this marathon, then I need to do a lot more training with running, but also I've still got goals in regards to losing weight and building muscle as well, and that requires the strength training. And I don't want for them to impede on each other. So it's like one of them has to be the priority, and the other you want to try and make them complement it.
I had this guy on my running podcast. It's just called Finish Strong.
Yeah.
And it's all about strength training for endurance sports. It's like written for distance runners, triathletes, and swimmers. And it's so helpful because I struggled heaps with that question for a while.
What's his
Because
name?
even though I'm training for a marathon now, I was like, okay, I don't want to lose the functional fitness of being able to be strong or whatever.
Yeah.
And so what's really good about it is it kind of it prepares you for different phases. Like for me right now, I'm in like a build-up phase. So the intensity that I'm lifting in the gym is like a lot lower than it was a few months ago in my off season. So it sort of structures the year around 4 different periods. Like the off season from running is where I lift really heavy in the gym, and like just gradually focus on that. And then the more my running mileage increases, the more my intensity in the gym sort of drops. And I like that because the idea of just losing all my strength because I'm training for a marathon is just yuck to me. So like I'll definitely structure it. But with me, 8 hours is like I usually don't do like an intense running session within sort of 24 hours or even 36 if I can around
if 8 hours doesn't feel long enough to me, but they say it should be a minimum of 8 hours. Although ideally, like the other day I had delusions that I would be able to be on the treadmill for an hour and then do legs after that. And as soon as soon as I got off the treadmill, I went, there's no fucking way, because there's no juice left back in your muscles. And also, again, if you exercise for longer than an hour, your cortisol can stay elevated, and cortisol, especially in women, equals gut fat, which is, we've discussed. No one wants that. So, it's finding that way as well on how to push yourself without having to undo any gains or progress that you've made. So the ideally, if I've got a day where I don't have a gig or I've got a shorter shift or something, cardio in the morning and then chest and shoulders or legs or whatever at night, and then not do cardio again for another 3 days or so.
Yeah, sweet. So what are you doing at the moment? How many, so 6 days of exercise you said, and what, like within that, I think you said there was like 2 or 3 days of strength?
There's usually 4.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
legs a minimum of twice a week, and then upper body is probably twice in 8 days, and then cardio on the other days. And then when I get to the point where I'm too sore, either have a complete rest day and 20-minute, 30-minute dog walk, slow. She's sniffing and pissing on everything anyway, so it's convenient. or do yoga to stretch everything out.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things. Just in the evening when I'm home, I've got like the foam roller, little back roller, and yeah, just
Yep.
do like a whole heap of that functional kind of mobility.
Yep.
I feel
I've
so
got
much better for it.
everything.
Like the idea of just sitting down there for an hour and watching TV, I'm like, oh, yuck. But I get up from that and I'm like, oh, the next morning, I'm always so grateful I did it.
I'll show you something. It's going to
Yeah.
look dodgy.
I reckon
sure
without
it's not
even seeing it,
dodgy.
I'm betting it's a massage gun.
Oh, I got one a week ago. It's fucking amazing. My quads get so sore that I can't sleep. And so what
Wow.
I do is I get this magical shit, Jungle Balm. It's better than Tiger Balm. It's very strong. I unfortunately made a masseuse choke because I said, put a little bit on, and she went, and I went, dude. And then I got this because I went to the physio a while ago and she rolled my quads out. It's a fascia roller. So this one's a small one. You can get a bigger one. So it just frees all of the fascia. And I just do it on my quads and I rub that shit into it.
Oh, I thought you said it's a facial roller.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's magic. But that's the whole thing about self-care is that if you're doing all the training and the running, you got to be eating enough protein. You've got to be fucking doing all of the. Some people don't get sore. I'm a very sore person, so I have to do all this shit. So I'm not a cripple. You know, like I can't do any sort of quad-based exercises. I can't do leg extension, and I can't do squats or curtsy lunges because I will be limping for 5 days. And when I got the x-ray and went to the physio, she goes, yeah, you've got a pinched nerve in your hip. Because I was like, why is there fucking shooting pain going up my legs? And so being aware of that stuff as well, I now know what exercises I can and can't do. So I just smash the shit that I can do and only get a little bit of normal DOMs instead of actually feeling like I'm 75 years old. Like I was screaming in pain when I was trying to walk upstairs. And I was like, why? It's day 4. Why is this going on? And then did some investigating. Oh, sick. And now that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, that's so good. Jay Money, I'm gonna love you and leave you just because I'm not 100% sure where my family's gone, but I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to be on like dad duty as of 20 minutes ago. But my house
do it.
My house is awfully silent, and I'm not 100% sure why.
Okay.
But I'm glad we got to do way longer than I thought we were going to. I reckon Jesse must have been about to say, "Hey, I'm about to go. I'll put on in front of the TV till you're finished." But I can't hear any TV.
Yeah, no, go and sort that out. It's crucial. Good chats. Have a good night. Thanks for the airtime. We'll chat soon.
That was fun. All right. See ya.